Hey, welcome back everyone. Got a little Herc for you today. This is the Academy 144th, and I've done it in RAAF, Royal Australian Air Force scheme. So it's pretty cool. I'd have a look at this one because there's a bunch of really cool schemes. Obviously, I'm in Sydney, so we went RAAF, Royal Australian Air Force. These 144 are definitely worth having a look at if you've never done any. This is my second one. There's a few different skills that are expanded. Like anything, if you do something different, you learn new things, or what would I say? Push your envelope. You do something different, you kind of see things differently. You wouldn't think there's that much difference on these 144s, but there's a couple, just almost different ways of thinking about it. Like, for example, in my first one I really did mess up the cockpit because my mindset was still thinking 1/72nd. I didn't even really look at the instructions properly. But yeah, it's just a really cool way to expand the collection. And obviously, as you get into some of these large planes, the scale does help you out, that's for sure. Because, I've no idea what would you say, the real measurements on the Hercules. Although interestingly, I've seen hundreds of them in my life. I think I was fortunate enough in the 70s and 80s to live right near one of the RAAF bases, and we were right on the flight line. So I saw a lot of Hercules in the day, F-111s, Aardvarks. I think they're more US called. I don't remember that in the day, but there you go. And an interesting one, which some of you might have heard of, definitely older people would know, but I doubt younger people would be caribous. So they're all flying out of, the same. I was about to say where, but no need to do that on here. But yeah, they, along with the Hercules back in the day, and they had those. There was a bunch with the Southeast Asian colours, those camo schemes back in the day. Yeah, Mirages as well. So, and like I said, caribous. That's a really interesting one. All right, onto the kit itself. These, on the face of it, these 1/144th are pretty simple. There's not a huge part count in the box. There's basically a fuselage. You can see I've done it with everything opened up. The wings, no great surprises there. I just think that the cockpit or the canopy can really throw you out if you've never done it. And an interesting one, and I'm not 100% sure why as such, is any finishing on these or finishing errors really does show up. I was about to get myself in trouble again for something to do with something that shouldn't be on bulls. You would notice it straight away, let's say. So my point is here, on these really small scale planes, there's the smallest sort of finishing errors really do stand out. And in itself, that's frustrating at times, but it's good practice on just getting your finishing right. I think in that sense, they're a lot less forgiving. Oh, and while we're at it, as usual, always, I'm going to nag you all, do subscribe if you're not subscribed. It really does make a difference. YouTube, like I say in every video, it really does hammer people or channels with low subscriber counts. Basically, YouTube just thinks, no one's interested, so we're not going to push that. One bit I did have a little bit of thinking power or thinking time. The undercarriage is tight fit. You can do it, but like you can see here, I'm messing around. It's a bit of a tweezer job. There's no easy way around that. Obviously, you're doing small parts on a very small scale plane. And you can see they're a bit chunky, but I don't really know how you'd get away from that unless you were fanatically into this scale. I do think, the fit on the wheels themselves could have been a bit better, but yeah, and you can see there that I'd say it's loose fit. And interestingly, even on the props here, it's one of those ones where the higher end kits, and when people talk about kits being well engineered, Little details like that, actually being able to clean parts up or get them off the sprue easily. I do notice that if you get into the higher end kits, you get less of those type of issues. It's just generally a bit more thought out. So there's the tail anyway coming together. There's not, like I said, a huge amount of parts in these, but yeah, the finishing is pretty cool. I would say if you haven't done 144, do spend some time looking at the instructions because, like I say, this is my second one, but I think it's easy to be complacent, and I wouldn't say made a mess of it. It was easy to fix up, but I think I did clip those struts just a little bit too short. Again, just my own stupidity. This isn't a kit issue or anything like that, purely my own. As you can see here, and this is where I definitely got caught out on my first build, was not taking enough time on finishing some of these seams. And so in this case, I have come back. What I do is use just Mr. Surfacer, in this case, to fill the gaps. And then I'll come back. And in this case, I think there was 3 or 4 sanding and painting jobs to get it to the point where I was actually happy with it. And you can see here, after the sanding and so on, I've come back and just lightly scribed in some of those panel lines again. So there's the loading bay. It's starting to look pretty good at this point. I've just come across with a grey. I did notice that, I'll start again. I did notice that SMS has a set of RAAF greys that are specific. So if you were going to do a lot, I'd definitely go down that path. And I probably will at some point buy, I suppose, the colour matched grey for RAAF. In this case, I eyeballed it. I'm not sure. I wouldn't say it's a bad job or anything like that, but I'm not sure if I got it 100% correct. I'd probably say 90% correct, if that makes sense. I think, probably if I was going to do more, especially a lot more of the RAAF, I'd check out the SMS paints because they're made in Australia. Again, I got no connection with anyone at all. I'm just a guy who makes my paints. You might find it interesting the way I did the masking here. I almost built it. Well, I shouldn't say almost. I built it or cut out a template, and I can use that to get the effect I want on that edging, that mottling. I'm sure there's probably a proper name for it as that comes across. So you can see here I can adjust this almost using the same template around the fuselage here. So I can even use it to get things cleaned up. This is just the undersurface of the wings. Again, no great drama here. You'll notice also that I'm just using essentially that cheap painter's tape, especially for large jobs. I do use modelling tape all the time. You'll see that as I do things, but especially for this type of work, I find that normal masking tape is almost perfect and a lot cheaper. I can buy it in bulk, and you can see I can go a bit nuts at times with my masking. It's just one less thing to worry about in that sense, and especially if I do have a problem, it's normally easy to fix up. You can see here I've had a bit of bleed through there, and this is just me coming across doing the props black. One thing I am doing here is, in full disclosure, because I did have a bit of bleed through on that masking, all I've done is let it dry properly, be patient for once, and I come and re-edge it with the grey easy. I think that's one of the things as you get more experienced. It's not that you make less mistakes, it becomes just, you become a lot more confident at fixing up your mistakes is probably a better way to think about it. You still make mistakes. Interestingly, you see that even with, say, top athletes and sports people. The top guys still make mistakes, although admittedly less, but they become, I think one of the things is as you get more proficient at something, you become a lot better at recovering. And this is a good example, even if you think this is my second one for 1/144th. My first one, yeah, I was happy with it, but I think like anything, this is a good example of the second one has been a lot smoother than the first one. And if you're definitely interested, if you're interested in the 1/144, go back and have a look at that. I'll put the link in here. It was a Army air transport plane. Pretty cool. And I definitely will be doing more of these 1/44th. I can't say I'm a huge fan of these big decals. You can see it almost looks like, what do you call it, saran wrap, glad wrap, all those things messing around, and did take a lot of work. What would I say, just to dissolve that away. The other alternative, and probably the smarter thing, would be to cut all of that out, but I just wasn't patient enough. And what I mean by that, for those that don't know, you can cut away all the clear, and then probably that would have been the best, especially looking at this in hindsight as I'm editing it, that I think it would be better just with straight lines or black lines, which a lot of kits do, because, yeah, you'll get rid of that. It was easy. It's easy enough to fix. Like I used, Mr. Decal softener and stuff, and it'll dissolve away, but it just adds a couple days of messing around. Here's the, what would you say, the RAAF Randalls. One thing I'd just stress for those that don't know, and to be honest, I wasn't paying attention, almost bucketed it up myself. Make sure your kangaroos are facing the right way, especially as we've just come out of another Anzac Day weekend. Yeah, make sure your kangaroos are facing forward, otherwise they're wrong and doesn't look cool. And that's actually good advice for most countries. I know Stars and Stripes and Union Flag, and the one that I do see, and this isn't anything other than me, admitting mistakes, the red, white and blue on tail on RAAF and so on, so beware of that. Here it is, all done. I hope you've enjoyed that. Definitely give the 1/144th a go if you haven't, because there's some cool planes you can do. They're relatively cheap, they're easy to do, and they will hone your skills. Okay, thank you once again for watching. Hit me up in the comments. Enjoy. Bye for now.